You know, I've come to realize something about this business that took me way too long to understand. Running a landscaping company isn't just about lawns or mowers or trucks, it's about people. The people you hire will determine how far your business goes and how enjoyable the ride is along the way. I've seen incredible businesses crumble because they hired the wrong people, and I've seen small, scrappy operations become thriving, six-figure companies just because they built a crew that cared. So today, I want to have a real conversation about hiring, specifically the difference between hiring for skill and hiring for attitude, because in this industry, that difference means everything. Let's be honest, most of us start off hiring the wrong way. We look for someone who can do the job today, someone who says they've got 5 years of mowing experience, or I've done irrigation installs before, or I can operate a skid steer. And that sounds great on paper, but what happens next? They show up on day one. They know the ropes, sure, but maybe they cut corners, maybe they talk down to other crew members, maybe they think they've got nothing left to learn, and suddenly you're dealing with tension, complaints, and more stress than you had when you were working alone. That's the trap of skill-based hiring. It looks safe, but it can be toxic if the person doesn't fit your values. I remember early on, I hired a guy named Steve. He had every certification under the sun: mowing, hardscaping, irrigation, you name it. He could fly through jobs, but man, the attitude wasn't there. If something went wrong, it was never his fault. If a new team member made a mistake, he'd talk down to them instead of helping. I spent more time managing his mood than managing my business. And that's when it hit me. A person's skill might get the job done, but their attitude decides what it feels like to get there. When I started focusing on attitude instead of skill, everything changed. I met this young guy, barely 20, no landscaping experience at all, didn't know how to edge, didn't know the difference between a trimmer line and a blower cord, but he showed up early. He asked questions. He wanted to learn. He didn't take shortcuts. So I trained him from scratch, and within a month, he was outperforming guys who had been in the industry for years. That's the power of attitude, because skills can be taught, but character can't. I've learned that the best hires aren't always the ones who already know what to do. They're the ones who are eager to learn how you do it. They take pride in representing your business. They smile when talking to clients. They treat your tools like their own. They bring good energy to the site. You can build skill on top of that, but you can't build character on top of arrogance. When I interview someone now, I pay attention to how they talk about their previous work. If they speak with respect, even about tough jobs or old bosses, that tells me something. If they take accountability, that's gold. If they say, I messed that up, but here's what I learned, I know I'm talking to the right person. You can work with that kind of person. You can trust them. You can grow with them. Now let's talk about the other half of the equation, aptitude. It's not a word you hear every day in landscaping, but it might be one of the most important. Aptitude is someone's natural ability to learn and adapt. It's that spark you see in people who just get it. You show them something once, and they've got it down. You walk them through a new process, and next time, they're already doing it faster, smoother, better. That's aptitude. But aptitude isn't about intelligence, it's about curiosity. A person with high aptitude asks questions. They don't settle for, that's just how we've always done it. They want to understand the why behind things. And when you combine that curiosity with a great attitude, you've struck gold. Those are the people who grow with your business. They don't just work in it, they help improve it. They start to see patterns, fix inefficiencies, suggest better ways to route, or smarter ways to quote. They take ownership. They don't wait to be told what to do because they're invested. Now, people always ask me, how do you tell who's got attitude and aptitude before you hire them? And honestly, it's less about the answers and more about the questions you ask. Here are a few I like to use. Tell me about a time something went wrong at work and how you handled it. If they blame everyone else, that's a red flag. If they explain what they learned, that's attitude. What do you like most about working outside? If they light up, you know they're passionate about the environment, the process, or the sense of pride. If they shrug and say, it's just a job, that's not your person. When you don't know how to do something, what do? Someone with high aptitude will say, I figure it out, or I ask questions. Someone without it will say, I wait for someone to tell me. That simple difference tells you everything. And then I'll sometimes ask, what do you want to be doing in 2 years? If they say, still here, hopefully leading a crew, that's a growth mindset. If they say, I don't know, it's probably not the right fit. Because in small business, you don't just need workers. You need builders, people who grow with you, people who think a few steps ahead, people who care about the outcome as much as you do. Once you start hiring for attitude and aptitude, something interesting happens. Your entire culture shifts. You start to feel it on job sites. There's less complaining, less tension, more laughter, more accountability. You don't have to hover or micromanage because your team has each other's backs and it becomes contagious. New hires quickly pick up on that energy. They either rise to it or move on. I had one crew leader who told me something I'll never forget. He said, "I used to think my job was to tell people what to do. Now I realize it's to help them figure out how to do it better." That's the mindset shift that happens when you hire for attitude and aptitude. You stop managing and you start mentoring. And that's when people stay. That's when your business becomes something more than just a paycheck. It becomes a place where people belong. Now let's be real. Even when you hire the right people, things will go wrong sometimes. Someone will damage a client's fence, forget a tool, or miscut a lawn. But when your team has the right attitude, those moments don't turn into battles. They turn into learning. I tell my team all the time, I don't expect perfection. I expect ownership. If you can own your mistake, we can fix it together. And that builds trust. That's how small crews become tight teams. And honestly, as leaders, we have to model that same thing. When we mess up, whether it's a scheduling error or a quote that undercut profit, we should own it too. That's how you build a business rooted in respect, not fear. So, if you're out there hiring right now, here's what I'd encourage you to do. Don't just look for the person who can mow straight lines. Look for the person who looks you in the eye, who listens, who asks good questions, who wants to grow. Because skill gets the job done today. Attitude and aptitude build the business you'll have tomorrow. If you start hiring with those two things in mind, you'll not only find better people, you'll start becoming a better leader too. And maybe that's what the mindful landscaper is really all about. Not just thinking about grass or growth or numbers, but thinking about people, the kind you want to work with and the kind you want to become. So that's today's reflection. If you've got a story about hiring, a win, a lesson, or maybe a total disaster, I'd love to hear it. Send me a message or comment below, because these conversations are where we learn the most. This has been The Mindful Landscaper. I'm glad you're here. Let's keep building better businesses and better people, one hire at a time. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Mindful Landscaper. If you're curious to learn more or looking for a community of like-minded owners like you, join the Lawnpreneur Hub. Check the link in my bio.